So as I mentioned yesterday, we are coming a little bit from different, with different background than just technical and software development. So that's how we also, what is the perspective which we have on what's going on in Croatia. So this will be partly mapping what's going on in the scene of free software, but it will also be partly how we contribute to that and what we see, what is the important thing especially for the future of free software movement in the society. So many things regarding software and especially internet and connection in Croatia came from Carnet. Ivana works there, so if anyone is more interested about Carnet, I will just say a few words. It's a Croatian academic and research network, and they were the early adopters of the internet technology in early 90s. And in that sense, we had quite good BBS scene, and Croatia in that sense was quite well connected in the early days of internet. So from those days, there is also a community of people who started with Linux distributions, and in middle 90s, you could say that there was like some kind of renaissance of free software community in Croatia. A lot of people were very enthusiastic about that, and they were experimenting and learning how to be better IT expert or how to be better hacker. So Carnet still goes with some projects about free software. So, for example, one of them is Linux in the education. So there are some quite good documentation in Croatian about it. But again, it's something which started and then stopped. So you can see that it's 2004. And Carnet also was one of the first early adopters of Linux on desktop, and they moved quite far away in that. I think that it was almost 30 or 40% of people who started with Linux on desktop, but then they got the new head of the whole organization, so they start with that approach. So they are much more focused on other things, connecting elementary schools and high schools to the internet. So the community, free software community, is mostly gathered around the Croatian association, Croatian Linux user group. It's called HULK, so it says Hrvatska udruga Linux korisnika. And this is portal. I will just show you what is their latest project and tell you a little bit about how that great situation from the middle 90s happened to be not that much good in 10 years after. So most of those people who were really well skilled and learned free software now work for industries. They still prefer free software, but because of the cooperation policies and all kinds of different things, they are not anymore loud supporters and advocates of free software. There are a few conferences and events during the year when they do something, but there is not really critical mass where people in collaboration do some projects. So probably the best project where you have more than just a couple of people or just one people is localization of Linux, mostly GNOME and KDE. OpenOffice, Firefox, and yeah. So I'm showing you also because if you have any localization efforts in your country, I think that the whole software here is quite well done. I'm just showing you the statistics, but it has quite good interface where you just translate line by line, and it goes directly and it shows you the differences. I was just once on the localization, just one day, didn't actually translate anything. I'm embarrassed, but I didn't do that. But what I actually saw is that that software is good. So if anyone is interested in, I don't know, in getting in contact with the developer, I could provide you contact, and you could use it as free software again. Yeah. So what we actually got is that we have just a couple of individuals which do a lot of things. For example, one of them is Dobrica Pavlinušić. Let me see. He was supposed to appear at RC. Never mind. He's system administrator for more than 10 years. He works for that pharmaceutical company, and he's big advocate, but again, like inside of that IT department, which is now the standalone IT company, and this is just the list of projects where he committed some code. He's a good Perl hacker with obsessions with security and Unicode. So whenever he sees that something needs Unicode support or some secure, he will do that. So he also did something which is collaboration with Carnet. So this was the big knowledge management system, knowledge management portal which they did for the internet of that big pharmaceutical company. And I think that actually they invested, sure, I need him on RC. Is it million kuna or million euros? I'm not sure. And if it's million euros, then it's seven times more than million kuna. So whatever, or if it's million kuna, it's 7 times less than that. So it's a big investment anyhow. And he managed to, it's big numbers, so I don't care actually. It's pharmaceutical industry. They have money. Yeah, so what he managed to do is to at least to open source, to open the code of the light version of this knowledge management, and he's always trying to get more. And this is quite good software, and I think that he will do his best also to open it completely. But that's kind of step-by-step approach, and he's quite good in that. Just the other guy, there are also a few others. I will just show you the Senko and Dobrica web page. So this is his web page, and these softwares are softwares which he did. So what I'm showing you is that there are some individuals who do quite a lot of things, but they are not really well connected. They don't join together so to do something on policy level or just to collaborate on bigger projects, but they are mostly focused on their own jobs. For example, Kost is in IBM, Dobrica is in Pliva. I know all of those people who were part of that early days of Linux in Croatia now have really well-paid jobs, still do some things with free software, prefer free software, but they actually adapt to the corporate policies, and yeah, probably most of the time you don't even use and develop just free software, but do whatever corporations.
I forgot to mention, basically our probably internationally most known software, free software developer, who developed wget tool for Linux. But he's also nowadays working in a corporation, and he's less.
He used to work for Red Hat for some time, and he was one of the maintainers of Emacs, and yeah, he's a great hacker. But as you know, it just life goes on even for hackers. Yeah. So what we what we saw on that scene is that we were coming to the free software scene from the culture. So when we were choosing as an organization and also as individuals in 2000 or 2001, when we chosen GNU Linux or Linux, whatever, we actually have chosen that because of the political background, because of the context, because of the freedom, which is the issue behind the software. We didn't care actually about technical whatever fetishism, because we just thought that that's the way to go, and that's actually one of the, maybe the only avant-garde social movement which is successful. So the things which free software wanted to do and is successful in protecting freedom and making the production and the distribution of products equal for all of the people, not just for producers but also for users and producers. And that was the main reason why we have chosen that and why we actually became the supporters of free software. There is also another group, that's what I'm showing you at the moment, people from Pula. It's a small, mostly punk and hardcore community of anarchists in Pula, who runs a small hack lab in Pula, completely based on Linux, with free access to everybody. And yeah, that's what they do on a daily basis. But they are also quite a lot involved in the raising the issue about free software, but from the perspective where that is from the perspective of society, not from the perspective of better production models for enterprise business or whatever. We don't care.
They're also doing a lot of e-writing for NGOs and especially fan clubs and people who are active in the activists.
This was one of the best events which we had around free software. It was in 2004. Monte Paradiso people together with Italian hackers did transnational hack meeting, which was the continuation of the hack meetings which happened, which used to happen in Italy for, I don't know, 5 years or even more. And that really works great, because there is no any strong and serious organization. They just they announce that will happen, and they ask for people to collaborate and to build and maintain the network. So they say, like, we have, I don't know, three hubs and few switchers, we have an internet connection, we don't have cables, we don't have computers, we don't have whatever. And then people just coming from all around and actually getting the equipment, getting at the place if they want to prepare it for the others a couple of days before, and it worked great.
There are also some hackers who are part of that scene, like Jeremy, who's probably the most prominent to them against that Linux distribution, which is oriented towards broadcasting and multimedia. It's called Dynabolic.
Yeah. Yeah, I will show you also one project which is not strictly free software, but we like to see it as a free software. It's actually free content publishing label. We started that in 2001, in the early 2001, and we started to publish music mainly, but these days more and more video and texts under GNU GPL. So we used to do that till 2005, where we did the official launch of Creative Commons, and we have chosen attribution share-alike. So we like to say that it's attribution share-alike, not CC, because these days Creative Commons means much more restricted than how we saw the whole project from the beginning. This is the list of the names of people who are publishing for Ego Beats. I know it's probably more than 40, more than 80 releases. Around 30 of releases were published also as CDs, and it's quite successful. Internationally, it was recognized as a serious or relevant artistic project, so we were guests on Transmediale, Ars Electronica, and all those big name festivals. And locally it was also quite successful in a way that these people are making the regular electronic music for dancing, for listening, from easy listening to to house. So for example, one of them were like Zvuk Broda were the #1 on the national top 10 TV show, and No Name No Fame is #1 several times on the famous urban radio in Zagreb, which is the biggest in that sense. So in that sense, it's recognized also from all different perspectives, and probably the top of our efforts and of our work resulted in the there's not a lot of, we don't like graphics and htio bih samo kratko možda slike. Yeah, so this is the festival of free culture, science and technology, where we mix together efforts like from the art with the production of music and whatever can be digitalized and made as artistic project, with science efforts like Science Commons, like this, the latest festival. We had 2 festivals last year and this year. And also, again, it's always the very clear reference to the free software movement. So we used free software movement as the main inspiration for our work, and what we are trying to do is to try to transform the positive values and positive models which we could find in free software to the cultural field and to the society. So it's not really one-to-one transformation, but yeah, there is a lot of work to do, and I think that it's just fixed. It fits well together, because there is just more people who are interested in technology because they are coming from art, or vice versa, and now these days also from the academic scene, where it's clear then that it's free software, and they understand the problems which they have in the field of, for example, publishing of academic scientific research papers, and then they just can see that there is a wider spectrum and wider context than what they have there. We also did something which is called Summer Source. That was the festival which we did on Island Vis in 2003. And there we just wanted to gather people from NGOs who are sensibilized for the problems in the society, where they know what is the tolerance, what is discrimination, what is the non-equality, and all of those issues in the society. So we just thought that together with Tactical Tech from Amsterdam, that it's a great overlapping field where people from NGOs would understand why free software is so important, but they don't know how to use it. And also there is a quite, I think, big gap from the technical side, where a lot of people who are interested in Linux are actually not interested in issues, and I think that thinking and advocating the issues which are behind the free software are politicizing and actually making the whole thing worse, which we don't agree. And we as an organization also do some software development. We started in 2001 in this it's called TamTam. It's online collaboration tool. It started as a wiki implementation in Python based on asynchronous network framework Twisted, which we found quite interesting and and good technology to start. And these days, it's just a second. We're just about releasing the latest version of the software. So it's not anymore just wiki, but it's more like a regular content management tool where you could use it for making any kind of portal. But in meantime, what we are quite proud of is that the concept of wiki was that it's easy to do things, that it's a good technology to solve the bottleneck which everybody had, and that bottleneck was web designers and programmers. So there are just few of them who can do that, and because there are few of them, not just for us but also for the whole market, then you always have problems because they do too many things, and mostly they do, for at least from the field where we are coming from, they do that for small money. So then they say, I can't do that, I have some commercial jobs, and also programmers are in the same position and they say, I can't always work just for nuts, so for whatever. So it was really a bottleneck. And when we realized that wiki is the great concept where just in 10 minutes you could teach someone to actually not just put something as the plain text on the web, but also to make a structure and to change the structure after later on. So that's the tool which allowed people to start immediately if they want to publish something. And we are proud that many people actually realized that, and now, which is not a great thing, but people are asking for TamTam as software for anything, because that became in our local community the synonym for something which you want. If you want to build new website, and then we have problems because they actually try to make complex portals and other things from TamTam, and we then say like, oh no, it's a simple tool, that's why we like it. So if you want these kind of things to be done for you all together, then it's not really, TamTam is not for you. So that's kind of the communication which we have, but you could see that there are quite a lot of
that's a wiki farm on our server.
yeah, and probably 50 of them were just projects which happened at once, and people just put something online, and then that was it. But at least like 10 of them are alive and running. One of the latest is for example this blog, one of the most popular blogs in Croatia, and it's running on the latest TamTam version. So latest TamTam version has blog behavior. That's how we call it. So you can just use it as a blog. You can use it for many other things. Yeah, the other software which we are developing is again based on the same platform, and this is the software for NGOs. It's a free software for NGOs for the financial for the whole process of getting money and then giving the reports.
Financial tracking.
Yeah, financial tracking software, because we grow this organization quite quickly and then get at the situation where we have a lot of funders, mostly with not that big money, with a lot of projects where we build also quite complex infrastructure where we need something to really track when you need to buy the new LCD monitor, which you got some money in 2001, but now it's broken and you need the new one. So then you will try to actually buy it from different budgets, from 3 different grants, and that was really complex for us. And people who were responsible for financing in our organization were just getting mad of that situation. So we started this this software. It's in, I would say, pre-alpha stage. We need testers, but we use it in our organization, so it actually helps us a lot. And the main approach is to separate from the early beginning, which you don't have in the regular business, to separate what are the sources of money, because at the end you will need to make a report for the particular source of money, and that's the logic. And I wouldn't really go. If anyone is interested in that, I can show it. It's online, and we can also try to see if it can help you. Yeah, we can. Ah, yeah. Sorry, I just opened the creation one. One of the features which we like is that every page in Nergod has this little question mark. So this is where the documentation will be. It's not. We just finished that part. So the documentation, for example, is wiki documentation. So you get some documentation, but then you are able to edit any document from the documentation right on, and that's the way how you can also communicate around the software and to make the new documentation, actually to improve the documentation, and you can submit it to the central repository. So in that sense, when we were designing the whole thing, we didn't really just go into the direction to solve the problem for us, because the main problem when we want to deploy this kind of technology is that most of the NGOs don't know how to do financing, not that they miss the software. So in that sense, we really focused on how to provide a platform for the distribution of knowledge about financing. So then tool will be just the last thing in the whole process. And when I asked you about the culture, I had a few things particularly in my mind. I'm trying, together with my colleagues, to raise and to grow and to build some kind of communities where you will also see that there is not just technology, there is a really great culture behind the free software, there is a great culture behind hackers, there is great ethics, there is a love and passion for exploring new things. There is a great sense of humor which most of the people don't understand. So I think that it's a really complex culture which should be exposed somehow to the wider public, or at least it should be culture which we could focus on, we geeks, and that's the one of the ideas behind this project, which I have regularly in our club Mama. It's called skill sharing, and it's in its basic idea. It's very, very simple. So let's meet together, and whoever knows something, share it with the others. So you could ask, and we have something which is the page of the, I would say, like skill sharer, and then you say like what you. He said everything. And what are you asking for? So that's part of the website. But it's mainly, it goes quite informally in the meetings. We meet on Saturdays, so they are in Mama. I'm just trying to see, but not on IRC at the moment because they are in the club. And now it's running for around 2 years. And in the first year it was not more than like 5 people regularly and not more than 15 people in some peaks. But just in the last couple of months there are at least 10 or 15 people regularly, and it goes up to, I don't know, maybe 25 or something. And it's basically, so it's not meant to be just a Linux knowledge sharing, but now this group is mainly sharing the tips and tricks around Linux. So it looks like people gather together, we need like sweet things and drinks to make the atmosphere better. And then most of the people have laptops, and we install, I don't know, FreeBSDs, regular Linux, and try to fix the internal modems to everybody, 3D acceleration, keyboard layouts, and all kind of things which actually it happened that you need when you start to use Linux. So it's I think the main thing which is really great about that kind of methodology is that people are in permanent education. That's the one thing, because we did quite a lot of workshops for like 5 days of Linux, and then people know something, but then they try Knoppix or whatever at home, and then they are stuck because of so many reasons, and then they just forget, and they don't have the real support for that. So this way, its support is on Saturdays, and people are not forced, but there is some kind of a micro culture on Saturdays on skill sharing, so everybody helps to each other. And I'm trying also to moderate that in a way that if you learned something last time, then you will be the first one to show to someone else who doesn't know it, because that's the best way how you can actually learn something. Because if you don't articulate that verbally, then you just know the Windows way of learning things, and there's the steps where to click. And when you need to show something, your knowledge, when you need to teach him or her, it happens that most of the times, the one who is teaching is learning more than one who's learning. So, but that one will actually learn something when he will teach the other. So that's kind of the model, and it works. I was quite afraid in a couple of first months, because I was doing Saturday by Saturday Linux installations, explaining grub, explaining boot process, explaining what's going on when Linux booting up. And at some moment I was like, oh man, this will be eternal. You know, I would just continue with Saturdays and explaining the basic things to people. But after a couple of months, people it almost happened that I didn't notice that quality kind of improvement. And after that, I didn't do any installation actually. I don't know anymore what are the good distributions, because there are other people who knows everything, because they are in the first 2 or 3 months, so they go with all kind of distributions. And then they say like, oh, PC Linux he just recognizes everything. And so they don't really solve the problems, but they try to solve the problems changing the distributions. So it's also quite good way of learning Linux, and it works. But the good thing is that when they try it, and when they come to the skill sharing, then they are also exposed to some other problems. So it's not just about installing the Linux distributions. And because it's very simple, but it doesn't actually happen. That methodology, that model which we do, a lot of people, especially from the culture field, see that as a good model for, I don't know, artistic exhibition, for festivals, of culture festivals and the others. So we are regularly guests as like a little circus, moving around to just with our laptops and talking about geek things, but that's cool for most of the people. So we have kind of few projects which we are raising. One of them is fair of the motherfucking machine. So it's actually the idea is to show the equipment which could be hacked. So that's no equipment is mean equipment just on its own. it just became mean motherfucking equipment if some people actually do something from that. So yeah, whatever. And it worked also quite well. We had a couple of setups where we showed really old computers, like hard disk, 5 megabytes, 60 kilo, this size. That was the big star of the exhibition. And also all kind of different old synthesizers where people were playing. We had also gigs where people were playing on the first generation of synthesizers in 70s, or spell checking, a little device which talks, and all kind of things. So that's kind of the trying to play, mainly to play, and through that game to show that there is some kind of interesting culture behind it. And then we also started something which is called Geekoscope. And Geekoscope is every Tuesday in Mama, and yeah, we were watching movies. I don't know, movie like where computer makes some woman pregnant, where I know some Roma people customizing the cars. Old cars. Tron, you know Tron, and the Stupidity was the documentary about the stupidity and intelligence. So yeah, it goes like every Tuesday, so that's just one more excuse to get her again, to watch the movie and to go for the cheapest pizza in town, in our geek place, where we just continue to talk about geek issues and geek talks, which we do regularly on Saturday and now regularly on Tuesday. And it started that on Thursdays we also found some time, so we also gather on Thursdays. So it's actually occupied. I'm happy because of that, but I'm not happy because I have other things to do. But these days and these weeks I'm just completely occupied by the Geekoscope and geek community which raised from that project. That's part of it. And for example, this is ROT 13. I don't know if you know that encryption. It's 1-to-1. So if you go to rot13.com and copy this, and it's better to go with this. This one is English, as you could see. And okay, Firefox is the worst application ever. Memory leaks. Yeah.
What?
Naked launch. So yeah, because we play in a way that and this is USA, and so when we found that some movie could be controversial because of copyrights, then we just, for example, Matrix will be in this month, and so this is Matrix. Because that's the movie which is really Hollywood blockbuster, and actually the idea about Geekoscope is again to deal with issues and how the geek culture in that sense is represented through movies. So it's not just movies about geeks with geek as a characters in the movie, but all kind of different issues and culture, like the relationship in between male and female, or women and men, with focus on men who are not that much socialized, which have glasses and problems in socializing, and the other things like transformation, biomechanics, intelligence, artificial intelligence, what else? Alternative state of mind, drugs, of course. So those are the issues which we are trying to cover, and then also try to discuss them, but not in the formal way. So there is no, in that sense, there is no formality at all for any of those projects. Yeah, any questions?
Thank you very much. Do you have any questions?
No questions.
I was wondering, you said that there is no critical mass and almost like no community, organized community that is producing some content. But actually you're organizing most of some festivals and workshops. So aren't the things somehow correlated? I mean, usually people suppose that if there are events, these events, the audience of these events are the people from the community who are doing something. And here,
There's two different communities or two different generations.
Okay.
There's a generation of the first wave which disappeared, especially disappeared from agenda raising scene, and whenever there is large discussion on political sides of free software, they usually tend not to participate and prefer not to participate. There is a second generation which is more coming from culture, or is coming more from or is more coming from something that we used to call technological culture. So something which deals primarily with passion for technology and passion for tweaking technology. So not only in the sense of excellence, but also in terms of playing and tweaking. So those are two livelier communities nowadays in the free software scene in Croatia. But yeah, I mean, that might be just a generation again that will be superseded by another, which might know then again about technical excellence and so on.
And I think that we are also good in making things more visible with that kind of reflection and with that kind of projects. So it seems, for us it seems that it's not that big, but for most of the people from outside, it just looks like that there are so many things which are happening, and that's true. But just as your colleague said before, it's like a couple of people who are organizing that, and most of the people are still passive. And in that sense, we always, we are happy when we do that, because some issues goes into the public and there is some kind of dynamic around that. But we are always also not satisfied with the numbers, because there is no big, in that sense, big community. For example, on EcoBoobies there is a lot of content, but there are not that much people who are really active about and who are interested in the wider context. So let's say that at least 40 or 50% are interested in just becoming the pop stars. Even it's almost impossible to do that with the Creative Commons approach, but Croatia and I think everywhere these days situation is so desperate, if you're not part of the industry, that you actually would do that. However, and in that sense, when you see that someone is here, however, then you are not that happy as you are happy if you see that someone is here because of freedom, for example. That's what makes us much more passionate and satisfied with why we are doing things. But yeah.
That seems like some completely different way of thinking if we compare things in Croatia and in the other countries from the region.
Yeah, I think that there is something which is kind of, it's almost officially called Croatian phenomena, NGO, non-institutional culture scene in Croatia, and we are active parts of that. We are actors, quite active actors of that. So there is really a lot of reflection. So there is a lot of theory behind that. Even it's not theory in a way that you just put some text somewhere, but you are trying to put that reflection in reality all different kind of forms, from the artistic projects to the social projects to the, I don't know, technological projects, any kind. But what we could see, and I think that that's what made, for me, very interesting, is that there is a permanent, obsessive-compulsive analysis which we do. So that's what I told you yesterday. Tommy and I, we are just talking machines. We always talk about those things, not stopping at all. And also our other colleagues in the organization are also doing the same thing, but probably, and not probably, but with focus on some different areas. So I'm not that much focused on institutional culture, but more on the free software movement, intellectual property, free culture. And Tommy is again together with me with that, but he's also more focused on institutional culture, and that's how it goes.
This sounds maybe different because this is more of more story from culture perspective. And when we look at schools, higher education institutions, state
government,
they're the same stories. I think, yes. Current support Linux projects, but because it has some kind of autonomy in that way. We are also under the Ministry of Science and Education. Their main policies is Microsoft and properties.
Yeah, I can tell you also what our plans, just like from last month actually. We would like to, and that's what we will try to do, to go to the people from the Art Academy, from the Design Faculty, and what was it? Yeah, whatever. So we'll go there and just propose that we could do the same thing, like skill sharing, for some volunteers in the faculties, because there is a big lack of that kind of technology knowledge. And they don't have people to do that, they don't have methodology, everything changes day by day, so it's quite hard to make a curriculum or whatever. And that's what we will try to propose, so that we just have more people, but then more officially, because what we did till now was more like informally, without any big announcements or invitations. It was like, if you would like to come, we will customize FlossWorld.
Huh? They are friends or?
Yeah. Those people in the academy and the faculties, they are our friends. So they are actually not friends in a way that we knew them before, but those people recognized our work. So through that, we became friends. So they just started to come into our club or to some of our events, and they just came to us and said, "Oh, this is great thing which you do. I do this and you do that, and blah blah blah." So it's in the air that maybe we will start some kind of collaboration. There are a lot of people around which is just that maybe that there is a possibility that you could start something. So we'll start to talk to them about, because it's happened a couple of times through those festivals. So I know on one of the festivals we had 2 times 15 people from the Art Academy coming to the fair of the mean fucking equipment, and that was like a lecture for them. What is hacker culture? Why is that? What is the context of that? Why it's in the context of art? And how that could be, in the context of art, and they liked it, and we just said like, okay, we could make it again. So now we will go there and try to make something from it.
There are merits and demerits in being a small country. It's very difficult to do policies, but then again, it's very easy to do collaborations and find people who are enthusiastic about things in other types of engagement or fields of engagement than your own. So that's where we work a lot. We can't do basically a lot about policies. These things go very slow because of under complex institutional context. But then again, the closeness of people doing great things in other fields is also what makes
you can reach a lot of people face to face.
fruitful cross-pollination.
Yeah, but it's even better because knowledge is spread directly.
Yeah, the good thing is that you can easily reach people,
Yeah.
but the bad thing is that there are not a lot of people.
Yeah, and how
So
many
it
people
just few
count
people
this
who are
way?
enthusiastic, and most of the enthusiastic people actually left the country because they're so enthusiastic that they left.
Don't you have any contact with them?
I mean, not big,
Support from
yeah.
outside?
Mm,
From the
no,
democratic-
I just don't believe in. I mean, we have a lot of international contact, but we don't have a lot of contacts with Croatians which left the country because they don't. I mean, because also it's not that easy. You need being in the country, in your own country is also privilege because I can, with my 33 years, I can be at my parents' house, which I can't do if I'm in London, because then I would need to solve the papers and I will need to do much more work for my existence, and that's what's happening to people who left the country. So they don't have that spare time and luxury time to do that. So, and we are lucky that we actually made our big love and passion into our daily jobs. So we are employees of our organization. So I have a monthly fee for Geekoscope. I mean, it's part of my monthly. There is no something which would measure how much Geekoscope works.
Do you have some vision or some community, but it's actually a marginal number of people. So you and the country needs to at people who are with the
Yeah, I have a vision. Because they care about profit. I mean, they are the hardest target to reach.
Yes, that's why I'm asking
So I
you.
don't
Do you
care
have some
about it.
idea how you
Yeah.
could just introduce
I can show them that I can make my life much more interesting with 4 times less money than they have. That's the only thing which I can do, because whenever you try to talk to some professional, then they will say, like, even they have, I don't know, flat car and the big money, they will say like, if you go that way, I will starve. And I'm like, fuck, man, you won't starve. I mean, you are professional, you are whatever, if you're a designer, programmer, you won't starve. You are privileged class of the society these days.
It's also the question of what professions do you mean by professionals?
Well,
because we live in a technological environment which allows us to form communities which are not on local communities. It's one thing, and another, there is from the technological environment that we live in a special benefit of being part of a specialized small community, because it's not that small any longer. So critical masses are very different concept nowadays from what they used to be before. So it's questionable how much impact you can make from looking from top down. But there is so much more that you can nowadays do from bottom up. Which doesn't mean that top-down efforts are not important. They are, but it's really becoming much more of a question what profession and what professionals, because they are very specific, and we want to address open access community very, very differently from labels or from the Ministry of Culture. They have really totally different agenda, which we might perceive through the perspective of free something, culture, software, access, and other things, but are basically basically have to be legitimated from completely different logics and explain to totally different mindsets. So I think it's very varied. So you might have success with some and with others not. We have like much more success with open access than with the Ministry of Culture. Like when you come to the Ministry of Culture to discuss opening of their archives and whatever they have, they usually bring up your project and ask what are your interests in terms of concrete subject that you are like legal body, and not what is your issue in social perspective. So it's, you know, it always depends on what professionals are in a concrete situation.
And I think that direct approach is the only way to do that, so that you have one person in front of you, and that's it actually. And when I was answering to you, I had in my mind designers and 3D animators, because that was what we.
It's not only them; it's the.
Yeah, I know, but I was quite narrow in my mind. And I have with skill sharing, I have a great example that Dobrin, who's great developer. He joined the skill sharing after like a year and half, I think. Yeah, he's on skill sharing for the last 6 months. He's one of the best developers, or the, how to say that, most respectful IT guys in Croatia. The other one is working on the simulation of the motor s unutrašnjim izgaranjem. Whatever physics. Big. So yeah, he's like, he has quite big money, but he joined that. He likes the idea, but it's really individual. You can't really say that that's the approach where most of the people who are who like free software would come, because there are so many factors, especially in the scale. Because in Croatia it's also about your reputation. So Club Mama, for example, where we are placed, has from the radical right-wing people, we are for them faggots, Serbian communists. So in that sense, it's not that easy to get someone who is really like suit, I don't know, a hacker or suit penguin to come to Mama on Saturdays, just after on Friday we have Angelina Jolie fan club where lesbians are gathering. You know? So it's kind of complex situation where, yeah, some people will do this and some other people will do that. We can't do some things, that's for sure. That's why we work with Carnet, because that gives us some serious image.
I would suggest that you continue making talks. After that, yeah, because maybe we're first running out of time, and second, there is still some sun outside. So maybe everybody would like to get some.
Quick question: what's a window manager?
What?
What window manager are you using?
Window manager.
Yep.
I
never talked about this yesterday.
Yeah.
The best window
So this is now the skill sharing session.
Yeah. So I'll show how you can easily just. Sorry. So yeah, it's the paradigm of this window manager is that whenever you open something, it's in full screen or in full frame. So at the moment I have 2 frames. One is here, down there, and one is up. So if I would go and open the new window, it will just open as the 3rd tab. And you have also have a floating workspace for stupidly designed user interfaces like GIMP. So then you can have that, and it's the engine written in C, but everything else is done through Lua scripting. and then all of the configurations are programming language, and there is something like Scratchpad, so I can just move. Okay, whatever. It's here, I think. Yeah, I switched because of, I was trying to do that as quick as possible. So you can move them, you can tag them, and you have also something which is called floating. So as you can see, it goes from the right. You can also make it to go from down, up, and it's the best window manager. But the whole skill sharing these days is switching to Window Manager Improved, which is another window manager which is based and implement the Plan 9 protocol. So everything is virtual file. It's great, man. Don't be scared.
No, I've seen Plan 9. I think I was traumatized for life. So.
You were traumatized by Plan 9. You probably wanted to. Yeah, it's here.
It has one of the most horrible user interfaces I've ever seen.
No.
After that, the one of Windows.
Window Manager Improved. Use protocol.
Oh, just the protocol, not the ideas.
So you can make it look as you wish, just any Linux distribution. So the good question, if you're not familiar with Linux, when you see the user interface, never ask what distribution you use, because that will just show that you don't know what Linux is about. Because it can look whatever you want.
Okay. I suggest that we finish for today, and thank to everybody. And we'll have the video materials online after the workshop, and some reports and presentations online. I will get in touch with everybody, and we'll send the web addresses. I would like to remind if anybody has not put his name in the list, please do it there with some contacts. And thank you very much.